Hi all! In the last couple of videos, I've talked a lot about what happens when a human dies and moves into the afterlife. Now, what I would like to discuss goes beyond this long established earth cycle of death and reincarnation and into the ascension and transition of a volunteer starseed or light worker from a 3D existence into an ascension to 5D and beyond. First, we must realize that as a starseed, we have already attained the higher frequencies of 5D and beyond. So the path of a starseed ascension in this planetary shift into the new Earth differs greatly from the traditional death of a human into the afterlife or heavenly realm, as it's usually called, heaven or the other side. The main reason for this difference is that these star beings who came from the higher densities onto planet Earth volunteered to come into the assistance of those on Earth. And I guess one way to put it would be to say that they already have homes in the higher realms, such as 5D and 6D and continuing on up into the 9th and 10th and beyond. Those who come to Earth for this shift into the new Earth had several choices as to how to incarnate into a body for this mission. They could fashion a body from out of the light body in which they exist in the ET life they are leaving. And depending upon other, selections, can either be born as a mirror image to their own likeness, or they can create a physical body very different than their own for use during this lifetime. Another option would be coming in as a walk-in to a body already living on the planet. Or they can themselves return as a walk down from a future state of the same timeline in which they lived during their current life. So understand that we're talking about one soul living currently here on Earth as a human being, coming back from the future into the same past life. I'm not all that sure that there's any real way I can do justice to this information or bring it the clarity that it really deserves. But this is because this knowledge comes telepathically from outside the spoken language as what I now call downloads, into which volumes of data, details, and concepts come through at one time. And I need to be able to sort it all out and find a way to express it all through words, in my case, the English language. Yet, for some reason, it all seems to come together somehow. So, as always, I will do my best. Now, to go into what will be different for the transition of a star being during this shift, those star beings who now inhabit the planet And I'm not talking about the false matrix people that Dolores Cannon refers to as extras or backdrop people, which in gaming would be an NPC or non-player character. No, I'm talking about those starseed light workers who purposely came to Earth to assist in the ascension of mankind. A great number of these volunteers chose or designed bodies they would keep and inhabit for maybe hundreds of years. Or there are some starseeds who are now using these human vessels who may opt to remain on the planet for whatever duration they choose, then depart and go back to their ET lives, allowing the physical body to die, as in a natural death. Or, as I pointed out, may remain in this body for the rest of their life before going home to Source, perhaps for thousands of years. Every one of you has this concept embedded into your soul, but maybe you've not yet regained those memories. But this is a time of awakening, and many of you will now begin to recover that knowledge. So let's talk about this a little bit. How does all this come about? And does it mean that we are going to ascend our bodies and not die? And, for example, how could a future aspect of you return into your past to meet yourself? Okay, let's begin with something a little more substantial. Well, maybe it's not all that substantial. So the universe is a field of consciousness. Everything seen or unseen that exists in our universe consists of pure light energy as vibrational patterns, frequency patterns, including ourselves. And that's not even going into the parallel universes that exist side by side in the higher dimensions that we're not able to observe, where anything that can happen will happen. And in each of these universes exists a nearly exact copy of you living on an alternate Earth, yet making choices, different choices than you have made during this life. So therefore, you're living an alternate life. Okay, consciousness is fundamental to all of life. And each thought that we put out adds to the collective consciousness of the whole. Further, nothing in the universe is solid. Everything that appears to be solid, like a table or a chair or your computer or your body, is actually created by an underlying vibration. And as mentioned, at the core of all creation is consciousness, each conscious awareness influencing the whole. Therefore, the universe is a result of our thinking. As discussed in previous videos, this light energy consists of waves of potential until a conscious being, us, affects it through its own thoughts and perceptions. So we have the ability to change our universe through changing our mindset, changing our thinking. Additionally, what we put out comes back to us. Every thought, word, and action defines who we are. And the universe reflects that back to us and the entire collective consciousness as a whole. So all of us on this planet as a collective determine the current timeline that we are all experiencing. And each time we exert our free will, we affect the timeline that we're in. So we are the ones who will choose or create our timeline. Therefore, our reality, our world, through our existing now consciousness and the way we think or feel, the way we see our reality. So, past, present, and future are all determined by this present moment. We on Earth see time as linear, flowing forward like a river. This is because we are restricted to the bottom of the light energy spectrum and are aware only of 3D. And in this third density world, this is how it appears to work. We see time as the duration between events, one thing after the other. Yet as we move up in density, as in the, higher realms, time as we know it here ceases to exist, and everything is all happening at the same time. And the future and past are all taking place simultaneously. And the only thing that keeps us focused into one specific, life or moment is that this is where we have intended to put all of our attention for a certain fixed set of circumstances and experiences that build a particular life. So when we can look at time from this higher perspective, we would see that our entire lifetime and all events within it have already happened. This is why we can say that the ascension has already happened, because of course it has. The more extensive or broader view allows us to recognize that the only real thing is experience, a reflection of change. So I have an experience as such, and then I have another experience. Outside of restricted space-time, where all is simultaneous, one experience did not happen after or before the other, but concurrent to each other, as everything else in existence. So the flow of time, the flow of time itself is an illusion. So this might say that the ascension of mankind has already occurred, and therefore there is a future version of you who has already lived through these days that you are currently living in. And this future self is still you. So therefore, you on some level have ascended and gained it all. And you might ask, how would we access that information now? Well, meditation is one way, but intention is another. Where you set an intention to remember or retrieve this knowledge from your future and higher self. Because we have memories of something that happened in the past, then there must be a past, right? But when you reflect upon that past event, where are you? You are in the present, a now moment, having that experience. And where were you when you initially had that experience that you call past? You were in the now, the present moment. There's always only the now. It was now then, and it's still now. And it's the same for what we would term future events. Every event one experiences took or takes place in the present, the now. You are always in the now. So does that mean that, well, what does that mean for past and future? Past and future are both an illusion. They cannot be real. As Einstein said, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. He ought to know. It helps to realize that the universe, at least our universe, is a great divine energetic receptacle which holds all there is. Every life there has ever been and ever will be, in a timeless soup of infinite eternity. And what drives or operates all reality within this sphere is a great cosmic conscious intelligence. Some would call God, the great decider, source, prime creator, the all in all. And within this space of infinity lies all of existence. So one soul may have lived thousands of lives in millions of timelines as hundreds of characters. Let's say that you could dip your hand into that cosmic container and pick out one particular lifetime and observe it. It might look like a tapestry of threads we could call timelines. And that one lifetime will have within it numerous timelines as the individual selects details of its life. And so you may have to use your imagination here, but if you were like a sort of ethereal ant inching your way across this tapestry of one lifetime, as you wander along back and forth here and there, you may find yourself stepping directly into your 20th birthday, for example. Then as you continue, wandering across to maybe 2 weeks before your death at age 98, and then return to maybe age 52, and then again to, 5 days after your birth. Now, as this aware ant, you may choose to land on one particular day within that life and stop to see what's going on for you that day. From within the higher density realities, we can do just that. From a more elevated viewpoint, we can observe any moment of that life or of any other lifetime that we choose to perceive. And here, we have to remember that there are no past lives as such, or future lives, but all lives happening simultaneous to all others. Every timeline imaginable exists in a constant state of now. And each moment we are living, as our moods fluctuate, we are shifting frequencies, and with that, shifting timelines. As source beings, we could place our focus on any moment within any life and be there. And this is how we would intentionally shift timelines, through our free will. This is ascension and our work here. To do our best to hold a higher state of mind. As I'm sure we're all aware, a bad mood makes us feel downright lousy. and as a consequence, it lowers our frequency. And of course, the opposite is true. A good mood raises our spirits as well as our frequency. So it certainly seems preferable to shift into a higher vibration rather than a lower one. We all know the difference between feeling good and feeling bad. Well, this is how we gauge our frequency. A further aspect to this that I find interesting is that reflecting upon a memory brings that event into the now, which is now changed by who you are in present and how you now perceive that event currently, rather than how you perceived it in that moment in which it occurred. Therefore, your current perception, which holds everything you've learned and gained from that now moment, changes that past event, not by going back and fixing it through sort of a time travel, but by being it in this current now, which holds all the wisdom gained throughout all experiences in this lifetime until this very moment. So, all of these moments are happening right now, but it is our focus. It is what we focus our attention on that creates the illusion of linear time. So if you have something in your past that you regret, your remorse or disappointment in yourself that you could have done such a thing, your new wisdom and vision can alter that event and leave behind the guilt it has held over you, which may affect your life to the point in which the suffering you've felt since that event took place is lifted, relieved. In essence, when you choose to adopt this knowledge into your perception, each moment you are made new, and every moment is a rebirth into a life built on love and compassion and forgiveness. So, in reality, I am still being born, as are you. I'm still attending classes at school. I'm still falling in love and experiencing all those moments that brought me to now. And what that shows us is that since we are living lives on a timeline, everything on that timeline, everything that has happened in our lives was supposed to happen. So was it all predetermined? Does this mean that we have no free will? Well, yes and no to both questions. If we don't like what's happening and choose to do something different, that's using our free will, right? Yet are we really? Because, as stated earlier, everything that has ever happened within that universal bubble and everything that will happen is all occurring simultaneous to this moment. So are we really now making a new choice, or did we already make that choice and are we just following our predetermined path? So did I just now decide to make this video, or did it already exist and I'm just retracing those steps that I myself laid down in that lifetime? All right. If you can imagine something, anything, no matter how wild and weird it might be, it already exists because everything already exists. So if you right now imagine a walrus smoking a cigar, it already exists in your timeline. How? Well, because everything in the universe happens simultaneously. Therefore, the act of imagining this walrus is not only happening in this present moment, it's always happening. Once created, it's always been there. So, back to the afterlife discussion. You know, many of you will begin to notice what you might call an in-life life review, where you are experiencing a life review without dying, where you might find yourself dreaming or in meditation or simply as a daydream, reflecting on a time in your life that maybe you've even forgotten about, where you've hurt someone's feelings or done something regretful, saying or doing something that caused them harm or hurt another, and you feel remorseful and wish you could change it. Or a time when you did something wonderful, helped another in some way. These may be moments that at the time didn't even seem significant, and you just went on with life, never knowing how meaningful that moment was to your soul journey. So why would this be happening now, this during life analysis? It's happening for those of you who will not be going to the afterlife to undergo the usual life review, but will instead be taking your physical body with you into the higher frequencies of the ascension. And this living review is to allow a cleansing of all those things that may tend to block or prevent you from a smooth transition into 5D and perhaps higher. You don't want to take those regrets with you into the ascension. What's being now called the new earth has always been here. The new 5D Earth simply exists in a frequency higher than third density. On top of that, there are multiple parallel universes, each with their own version of Earth. The new heavenly Earth that's being talked about, into which a human would be ascending, exists in all the physical levels, from 3D to 4 to 5 and beyond. So, how do we get to the new Earth, this heaven on Earth? By matching the frequency of paradise, nirvana. Learn to raise your frequency to equal the world you wish to live in, and you will soon find yourself alive and well in that very world you just imagined into reality. Ask yourselves, did you really come here to die or to ascend? There are books after books and videos after videos on the process of death and dying on planet Earth, as it's been happening much the same way for millennia, cycle after cycle of reincarnation. So why would it be any different now? Because we are here to participate in the greatest global transition ever in the history of planet Earth, and are all now, this very minute, in the process of creating a heaven on Earth. This is your destiny. This is why you're here, Starseeds. This is why you keep hearing the phrase, "You are the ones you've been waiting for." It's true. The return of the Christ. It is us, you and I. And it is us, you and I, who will not only liberate this, our world, but glorify it, and every living soul who rides upon it or within it. Our future is certain. No need for skepticism, because, after all, it already happened, and it was breathtaking. So take care of that beautiful body, because you just might need it for a very long time. I love you guys. Bye.